Welcome, everybody. Got to give this a second for a few people to tune in. If you guys could let me know that you can hear me and see me all right. I see Instagram moving, and it looks like TikTok is getting moving. All right, so give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you can hear me and see me all right. That would be greatly appreciated. Let's move in. Okay, and I am just waiting here on YouTube and Facebook. So we're going to give that a second as well. How's everybody doing tonight? Good to have you here. This is a brand new show. This is Dear Ivy, sort of a play on Dear Abby. And you guys get to ask free questions. So I'm not doing psychic mediumship questions, but any type of question. I will give you personal advice. If you have a question about philosophy, anything curious, it doesn't have to necessarily be about your personal life. Go ahead and post those. Always intriguing to see. So my idea for this show was behind the fact that every time I wrap up a reading or I'm doing some kind of event, I have people asking me a bunch of questions. And they're always great questions. They could be about spiritual development. They could be about, how psychic mediumship works. It could be about, why does this happen? Why does that happen? And I never really have time to get to those questions. So I wanted to try this show out, see how it goes, see if there's actually interest from you guys in this. And, we'll just see where it takes us. All right. But I thought it was a great opportunity to get to have that back and forth, some actual dialogue, and answer some of these really great questions that come up on a regular basis. I notice a lot of people ask the same questions over and over and over again. All right, so again, welcome everyone. This is Dear Ivy, and you can post your questions now. I'm taking free questions. If you need advice about a situation in your life, go ahead and type that in at this time. Again, these are not psychic mediumship questions. This is just advice. If you have a philosophical question, metaphysical question, if you have a question about spirituality, anything goes. And I will be letting you know, okay, what feedback I have for you here. Looks like we do have quite a few people here on YouTube and Facebook. Okay, so finally, I've got you guys in here, but please do give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you can hear me and see me all right. TikTok, I already got you guys. Instagram, I already got you guys. All right, so just waiting on a thumbs up here from Facebook and YouTube. Make sure my volume is right. While we wait on that and let a few more people tune in, I did want to make a couple quick announcements. If you guys haven't already started, start posting your questions. Again, these are not psychic mediumship questions. This is Dear Ivy. I'm just trying this show out for the first time tonight. This is a play off of Dear Abby. This is advice. Any advice that I can give you on something going on in your personal life, philosophical question, curiosity you have about the world, anything goes, post them now. So a couple quick announcements I do have coming up. Every Tuesday, I am doing a radio show on 105.3 FM WEBR called Ask Ivy. Those of you who've been following me for a while, I've been doing my Ask Ivy show for over a decade. And that's an opportunity for you to get a free reading. So you can call in to the radio show Tuesday nights from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern. So check that out. If you guys need to book a reading, a party, or a psychic fair with me, you can go to Ivy Rivera Psychic Medium.com. If you're looking to check out the Psychic Mediumship course, Astrology Tarot, we have a Reiki training coming up. We have a bunch of classes going on right now. You can go to Ivy League Psychic Academy.com. We have coming up, let's see, Margin Manor Winery. We have Spirits with Spirits, Psychic Sundays going on. We are back in action. So this is going to be at the winery in Appleton, New York I'll be doing readings, and I will be there with 3 of my certified readers from the Academy. This is June 25th from 1 to 4 p.m. If you want to pre-book with your reader, you can go onto the website and pick who you want, set aside your time slots. We are also taking walk-ins. Okay. So we've got tarot, we've got psychic mediumship, we've got a bunch of stuff going on. It's going to be a ton of fun. Margin Manor Winery is absolutely beautiful, super haunted, absolute gorgeous space out there. So come do some wine tasting and be with the spirits of all different kinds. We also have coming up, well, I do, the 4th of July. I'm going to be in Dunkirk again. I did this last year. There's a ton going on down here. So if you want to come on out to the pier, I'll be doing readings all day. I want to say it looks like I start at 11 a.m. Okay, so you could pre-book with me if you want to do that. We've got Puerto Rican food, live music, Merritt Winery, just a ton of like great activities going on. The place is just, packed. It's just beautiful all along the waterfront. Okay. I'm totally addicted to it. So come see me for a reading on the 4th of July down at the Dunkirk. What is that? Memorial Park? Yeah, Memorial Park. Okay. Again, you could pre-book with me on my website. We also have coming up the SPCA event. So Coins from Above donation drive for the SPCA, raising money for the Niagara County SPCA. So I will be there doing my pet psychic work. If you have a living or deceased pet you want me to read, or if you want a psychic mediumship reading with me, you can see me for that Wednesday, July 5th from 12 to 3 p.m. Again, you can pre-book at ivyrivera.psychicmedium.com/events, or I'm taking walk-ins. I also have coming up the tours and hunts. So every month I open up the 1882 Victorian Funeral Home here to the public for our monthly ghost hunts. And this month they're going to be starting at 10 p.m. as the sun's going down later. I'm moving it back, farther and farther. So yeah, we've got the old times up here, so don't pay attention to that on YouTube. But we're doing 10 p.m. for the ghost hunts. You do need to pre-register for that, okay? Because I limit it to 12 people per group. And we're doing the historical tours. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it looks like that is right. The historical tours are going from 7 to 9, I think is what I decided on. I just switched up the times today. So it'll be going up on the website and the website calendar as well. The historical tours, it gives you 1 hour. You get access to all 4 floors, and you could just sort of wander around. Okay, self-guided historical tour. And the ghost hunts are always guaranteed action here, no doubt about it. All right, so check it out. We have a few questions coming in. Yeah, Kara Donovan says, love that pier. The food is delicious. There's so much going on down here. And like, I want to say 3 different new like Puerto Rican restaurants, all amazing. And yeah, it's just a great time. So we are going to start getting into your questions. If you didn't already post, I am giving free advice, free guidance, my free opinion. I love to drop my opinion wherever I can. This is a test out show, a sample show, Dear Ivy tonight, based on Dear Abby, that style where you can ask about something personal or any type of question, philosophical, metaphysical, spiritual, energetic, anything goes here tonight. And I'm just going to see what the interest is in this type of show and see if it's something, we want to make regular here. So go ahead and post your questions. If you do have a situation going on in your life too, give enough detail that I can hear the backstory on this situation. Again, these are not free psychic mediumship questions. This is a totally different show. If you need to book a reading with me, a party, or a psychic fair, you can go to Ivy Rivera Psychic Medium.com to do that. All right. So welcome everyone. This is Dear Ivy. I'm Ivy Rivera. I'm a psychic medium, a Taino Arawak. I own a school called the Ivy League Psychic Academy, where I train people internationally in everything ranging from psychic mediumship development, Reiki, tarot, astrology, paranormal, empathic work. We train children as well as adults. So check out classes at Ivy League psychicacademy.com. A quick word from our sponsor, ExploreCashAuction.com, for amazing deals and unique treasures, from home materials to baby items. Discover hidden gems today at CashAuction.com. And thank you for your sponsorship, Cash Auction. And anyone who's interested in being a sponsor, reach out and we'll get you set up for that. All right, we are going to go ahead and start jumping into the questions here. I'm super excited to do this show. Let's see what we've got coming up. And Maraid, my beautiful producer, will be popping those up. The first one being Martha. Why can't I let go of my ex? A lot of people have trouble letting go of an ex when there was a contract there. So we tend to meet mostly people that we have no real business dealing with. Maybe there's a connection because the astrology is good or the numerology is good, or we have some business to do together for a short period of time. But that does not equate to having a contract with someone. A contract comes with cords, and cords create addiction, obsession, an almost need to have that other person in your life. So when we have cords, we have one of two things going on. You either have a karmic contract with this other person, or you have a soulmate contract. When that's going on, we find that even when the relationship is not working, it could be super toxic, it could even be abusive, we still struggle to let go of the other person. So Martha, if you broke away from this person and you're finding that still years later, oceans apart, it doesn't matter if you may even move on to somebody else, you're still always thinking about your ex. It's due to the cords. Cords allow for energy exchange between two people. And when there's energy exchange, it can easily turn into energy manipulation. So if you have an ex, this is for everybody, that you're always thinking about, it's very possible that your ex is actually thinking about you. It's very possible that your ex is actually pulling and tugging at that cord, pulling and tugging at your energy, your attention, your affection, your emotions. And when there are cords, it makes it really easy for them to invade your sleep. So they may show up in your dreams all the time. You may feel like they're literally haunting you. They may be doing astral travel, where they leave their body and they come to where you are. You may feel their actual presence in your room at night, but it can also look like the universe is interacting and pushing you back together to be with this person because their name pops up all the time. People who look like them pop up all the time, right? There are all these references to them in the world around you. That is actually happening. You're not crazy. You probably feel like you are, but you're not, okay? It is the cords in the contract that are essentially keeping the two of you together in the universe in order to fulfill whatever unfinished business there is in that contract. The bottom line is this: if it is toxic, if it is not working, if no one is able to grow or we're not able to fulfill that contract, you have to leave. That is your responsibility, to leave the situation. And if you need to do so, to break away from them energetically, mentally, emotionally, at night in your dreams, cut the cord. There's a class up on my website called Relationships, Boundaries, and Cord Cutting that breaks down how to do this. The thing is, you have to want it. Okay, thank you. So Marae just popped that up here on YouTube. If you guys aren't on YouTube at Ask Ivy, you may want to switch over. Relationships, Boundaries, and Cord Cutting. This is going to help you to cut the cord, but let me tell you, if you don't want it, it will not work. So you can't cut a cord and say, well, I've done the best I can. Well, I still can't let go of this person, but you're sort of allowing them to pull and tug at your energy. You want it, you like it, you need it. It makes you feel closer to them, even if it is just kind of a weird fantasy, maybe, you're deliberately allowing yourself to just think on them all the time or compare every new person that comes in back to them. You have to want to cut the cord, and sometimes you have to do it multiple times. So I could go on and on and on about this topic. There's another class called Karma, Contracts, and Past Lives. If you want to get educated on why those two different types of relationships have cords and how cords can affect you, check that class out. Thank you, Marie. Just pop that up again. This is Karma, Contracts, and Past Lives. I think ultimately you have to accept that some relationships are super dynamic, super addictive, very haunting due to the connection that you have not only from past lives, but also through the contract in this life. And it is upsetting, and it can even be, really devastating when you aren't able to fulfill that contract because one or both parties aren't doing what they need to do. But it is a fact of life. We do have to accept it, and we have to use the tools the best we can to move on. Okay. So that's why. And you're not crazy. It is like an addiction. You can feel like you are not only mentally, sort of deteriorating because of the absence of this person, but even physically, you can see a drop in, body temperature, flu-like symptoms. It's like letting go of a drug. Very tough, very tough. I feel for you. All right, we have another question coming in here. I did forget to ask you guys to please give this video a thumbs up wherever you are, subscribe. And if you're here on YouTube and you want to hit that bell for alerts, that would be great. All right, so we have another question coming in from a Nicolette Perez. In relation to this question, what if they are the father of your child and you have to be around them? Well, you can cord cut with anyone. You can cord cut with anything. I've seen most of my Reiki and psychic surgery clients be successful with things like drug addiction, smoking, weight loss by cutting the cord with whatever object, item it is that they're addicted to. You can cut cords with a thought or a traumatic experience. So it doesn't matter if the person is close to you or not. I think that, Nicolette, though, your question about, someone being the father of one of your children says a lot about the contract, because we don't bring kids through on the earth plane unless there's a contract. That is a 100% guarantee. And we would love to believe that that's a soulmate contract, which is a work contract, and that, there's some ease, to it. But often it's karmic. And that can make it really not only hard, on you to fully separate, but also on the child. So we've got this dynamic, this almost, triangulation building. And I think that you need to take very seriously, and this is for everybody, who you sleep with. And if you are in a period of time in your life contract, your numerology chart, your Vedic or Western astrology, where you are supposed to be bringing a child through, okay? So whether you're the boy or you're the girl, it doesn't matter. If it's in your chart that you are about to bring a child through, you're going to meet up with whoever you're supposed to bring that child through with. And that does not mean that there's compatibility. That does not mean that there's a love partnership, okay? This does not equate to romance or a great ending. This could seem like a huge mistake, but children pick and choose in their, I call them kid contracts, what parents they want to come through with, and it could just happen. It can happen on a one-night stand on a whim, okay? And next thing you know, you've got a lifelong commitment, okay, with these two other people. So you have to treat those relationships as valuable as they are and honor them. But Nicolette, you can cord cut with anyone, including those that are going to remain in your circle. I would say those are the most important relationships to cord cut with when they're not working. And again, you may have to do it repeatedly. Okay. So it may seem like it's working for a while and then you have to go back to the drawing board, and that's fine. Okay. But maintain it. All right. It's like spiritual hygiene, energetic hygiene. Whew, intense stuff. It's always going to be intense with somebody you're supposed to bring a baby through with. We have one from Jan Phillips. What is the best way to meditate? That is a great question. The best way to meditate for me is through motion. I cannot sit still. I have Gemini in like 7 parts in my astrology chart, right? The brain never sits still, the body never sits still. So for someone like me, again, this is just my opinion, I don't think that meditation is really that important. I have not found that it's helped me to evolve a ton spiritually or even with my intuitive intelligence. I have found that when I'm going through some kind of trouble, or I'm not centered, or I'm really agitated in life, or I have a big problem and I can't find an answer, that's when I feel best going toward meditation. And it's useful for me at that time. But to force and shove myself into it for hours at a time every day, nor do I tell my students, my psychic mediumship course, that they need to meditate. We don't meditate, I don't think, a single day in class for 28 weeks, not once. So it's just been overrated, okay, highly. Especially by like light working gurus, who think this is the way, when in actuality, it can really steer you off course. It could take you way, way out at sea and leave you sort of abandoned in some deep waters that aren't great for you. So I would say, first off, don't force yourself to meditate if you don't feel like there's a purpose to it, a point, like it's a good time for it. I think that sitting still and being quiet in the morning is important. So when I wake up, I'll say I'm having coffee and meditation time, like with my cats, and they come around and we all group together. And it's a great time for me to, before I start talking to other people or dealing with social media or anything, I can look over my dreams. I can allow my guides to help me to understand, and my ancestors to chime in about what I was dreaming about the night before and how that applies to my life. I will then make sure that, when I'm doing something active, like walking, I try to walk twice a day. So usually earlier in the day, I'll go down and I'll walk a couple miles along the beach. And again, this is just because I'm like high strung energy. I will do it again at night in the town next to me. At night, I'll walk up and down the hills and through the cemeteries and stuff like that. And when I'm walking, motion meditation helps me. And I could tell when I'm getting into a meditative state without trying to force it, because I'll start to have answers come in, solutions to problems. My ears may ring and I'll start to have downloads or messages from spirit. And I feel good about it. I feel harmonious about it. And like it's naturally flowing to me. It also tends to happen when I'm driving. And I'm not recommending that you guys all tune out while you're driving the car necessarily, but half the time we're driving, we're doing it anyways, and we don't even realize. If you've ever pulled into your driveway and you've been like, oh my God, I don't even know how I got here, you remember nothing about the drive, you were probably meditating. So you're probably the type of person who likes motion meditation. Okay. So I would say if you're struggling, don't force it and move, get into some kind of rhythm. Okay. Also playing like drums or any kind of music without words, but that repeats, that can help you to get into a cycle as well. All right. That was a great question. Thank you so much, Jan. So we have a question coming in here from Lucy Marsh. Lucy wants to know, Lucy says, great new show. Thank you, Lucy. I'm loving it. I know. I think I want to keep this one. I had a falling out of a friendship and I'm worried perhaps I didn't communicate my truth in the right way. Is it time to simply walk away? Well, I think that when you have someone who's still alive, okay, and don't forget, we're not always going to be, all right? So every day you should treat like it could be your last, all right? I think that when someone is still alive, if you feel like there's something you need to say to them, like an apology or a clarification, you should take that opportunity. And that's all there is to that. Okay. So I've been super uncomfortable plenty of times in my life. I run my mouth a lot, I have a hot temper, and I've had to go apologize. And I think that that thought that comes in, that interjects, that tells you not to, is always coming from a place of ego, which is fear, manipulation, and control. And it's protecting you, so you think. It's saying, like, no, they could reject you, or maybe they're angry. So what? Who cares? It's not even about them, right? It's about you. Technically, it is about you holding yourself accountable, taking responsibility, being mature, putting out good karma into the world. You want to get good karma back? You got to put good karma out. So you just have to say, like, I'm sorry for what I did. And regardless of their reaction, you know that you did the right thing. So don't ever base it on what they're going to do with the apology. Just go ahead and put it out there. Okay. And I would always just be prepared. Like the last time I really had to apologize to somebody, I was actually pretty nervous he wasn't going to accept my apology. And I just decided, like, what's the worst thing that could happen? And then I accepted that that was probably going to be what happened, and I was prepared for it. That's it. That's all you can do. And your soul will be lightened. Okay. And the universe will respond by giving you prosperity and good karma back. And it's a huge level up to be able to do it quick and on a whim when you need to. All right. So I think it's good for everybody. We are going to move on to another one from Edgar Velardes. What is a helpful way to overcome trauma? Well, I think it depends on the kind of trauma. I personally have been through a ton since birth. So I found that I have different tools and techniques that I use for things like horrible physical abuse or sexual abuse or mental and emotional abuse. The destruction that, like, my family did to me when they were supposed to be my caretakers. I have like a set of tools I use for that, because there are triggers every day out in the world. Okay. And so that's like some really intensive stuff. But, then I have all kinds of other tools that I'm using for, like, maybe a car accident that happened, or that one time I drowned and someone had to fish me out of the pool at swim lessons, or you know what I mean, like a horrible boyfriend or something that was traumatizing, because he was a big narc. I mean, I've got like different kinds of tools for different situations. I think that the easiest way to deal with it's sort of in a general way, though, is to understand that I came here to learn. Okay. So everybody comes to Earth to grow, to learn, to evolve. And we have an opportunity in every hardship to choose a low vibration or a high vibration, and to alchemize and transmute what happened from a place of weakness and victimhood and pain into power. But it can take so long. And during that process, we don't need to be toxically positive about it. We don't need to be pretending, that we're living in rainbows and butterflies. So it requires that you get comfortable in the discomfort. You accept what you're feeling. When you reach a point where you can accept what you're feeling, you can accept what you're experiencing mentally, you can accept that your nervous system is flipping out, you can accept that you are having a trauma response from some trigger, you are getting a lot closer to being able to resolve the way you handle it. And it's one of these things where it's like practice makes perfect in time, so that when something comes up, you may even identify it ahead of time, and you may be like, I'm about to get triggered, and then you change the way you handle that energy, the way you think, the way you feel, the way you react, the action that you put out to the world. Okay. What you say about it. I think that it's about accepting that we came here to do this work, and that anything literally anything that is universal law can be used and should be used to go from a low level vibration to a high level vibration. And so being determined to transmute everything is going to help you a lot, okay, with any kind of trauma. All right, that's a great question. There's so many different things I think we all need to just personally find also, what really works for you. We have a question coming in here from a Mary. With all of the stigma that comes with being a psychic medium, how did you used to tell people you were one? Were you ever afraid of negative feedback? That's a great question. Where are my psychic mediums? Where are my empaths? Where are my intuitive people here? Say hello in the comment section, and please do share what you've done and sort of coming out of the closet with all of this. So that's a great question. How did I tell people I was one? I didn't. So I'm not a great spokesperson for this. My degree is in journalism. I did not want to come out. I've been fighting this since I was a kid. Teachers recognized that I was going in and out of trance states when I was in nursery school. And by the time I was in kindergarten, they started sending me off to doctors. And they were telling my mother that Ivy would cash out. And so they would say that they were talking to me and trying to get my attention, and I wasn't in my body. So I've always gone in and out of trance states, and I've had prophecies, and I've channeled spirits, and being that they started sort of targeting me as somebody that was wrong, right, or sick, and sending me off to these doctors. And this went on all through my childhood, all through my teens, all through my 20s, all through my 30s. I eventually just got sick and tired of the BS because they could never actually diagnose me. I never got diagnosed once as a medium. Okay. So I didn't talk about it. I really never, came out as doing this until I want to say I was really led right after I got my journalism degree, and I was doing good. I was working with Channel 2. I was working with, independent, what was it? Investigative Post. I had a bunch of ins. I was doing well. I got a couple scholarships in college. I got a scholarship for argumentative writing, right? I was doing well in journalism. And the last thing I wanted to do was to come out and say that I was offering psychic mediumship readings, but that is exactly what spirit was leading me to do. And it was literally taking over my life. And so I know when to abide, and I did. And I started offering it to the public. And when I came out and started offering it to the public, everything I was doing in journalism just imploded. I was just a laughing stock, and I lost all my great opportunities in networking, and it was traumatic. I cried for 3 years. It's not an easy transition. But I believed in what I was doing. I knew there was a bigger purpose to all this. And ultimately, where I am now, publishing my first book this summer, I realized it led me right back onto the path I was already on. I wasn't supposed to be out there writing for some papers or doing freelance or watchdog journalism overseas. It's not where I was supposed to be. I was actually supposed to be doing this. So I think that if you just trust it, and be prepared for the abuse, because it is brutal. It is brutal. It's a lot better now than it was 10 years ago. Okay. But not an easy transition. Was I afraid of negative feedback? I was afraid of even negative feedback from myself because I didn't want to be feeding this, So yeah, I would say so. And it's what kept me in the closet until, about 10 years ago, and that I should not have allowed that to happen. So I learned my lesson, and now I preach, right? Don't let that be your story. Oh, Kara said, I can't wait for your book. Thank you so much. So the symbology book. Yes, I have a symbology book coming out this summer. I'm plugging away at it. You guys get on the early bird list for that. Do we have, oh, how sweet. Eva, thank you so much. This is a free show. Thank you for donations. Sorry, guys, I wasn't looking at the feed. So if donations are coming in, I wasn't paying attention. But Eva, thank you so much for that. We have another question coming in here from a Cosmic Dreamer 7, Rhonda R. What is the best way to help a young teen that may have empathic abilities and is in pain constantly? Check out my Empathic Kids training. You can go to Ivy Rivera empathiceducator.com. I train at universities. I've brought this into public school systems. There are teacher trainings. There are trainings for therapists. There are trainings for parents. There's a bunch up there. Okay, so I would start with that. Also, get the basic training for yourself. It's just called empathic awareness. Understand what your child is going through. And with it being genetic, you probably have it too, but possibly not as strong as your child. So to really understand the level of pain and discomfort that they're in, is going to require that you get educated on the 4 different levels and then start applying the tools. So Empathic Kids class. There is also a class coming out soon called Empathic Teens. And so you guys can, watch for that. But it's included in Empathic Kids. So you'll have all the information there that you need. I wish I had this when I was a kid, right? Any other empaths tuning in here tonight where you've got like ADD-like symptoms, OCD, irritable bowel, chronic migraines or headaches, light noise sensitivity, or emotional overwhelm. You're just always in pain from absorbing other people's emotions and physical pain. It's too much, right? All right, let's move on to another question here from a Priscilla. And she wants to know, when is it time to move on from a relationship, or how do we know if a relationship isn't serving us anymore? That's a great question. I would say, first of all, your prosperity starts to dry up. And you may notice that situations where you had quite a lot of prosperity, whether it be work or relationships or you moving towards your goals or even your energy level, they start to stagnate and you start to feel like a mouse on a wheel. So not necessarily all your prosperity is going to disappear overnight. It could just start stagnating out in some areas. Okay. And you would also notice that the two of you are not on the same team anymore. This can happen in a relationship and you just need to work on it. So they say, okay, I'm no psychologist, obviously. But you just notice you're not on the same team anymore. And I feel like when that happens, you run the risk of becoming the parent, the leader, overreaching, trying to nurture the relationship. Hell no. 2 people with a growth mentality wanting to be there, working at it. That's where you see growth. That's when you're supposed to be together. When you're not on the same team anymore, it's because somebody or both people bailed. And they're just there out of circumstance or laziness or denial, right? And it's really time to move on. So you can feel when something has soured. And as long as you have 2 people in a relationship with a growth mentality working at it, it's possible the relationship can continue. It's also possible that that's not enough. Sometimes a contract with another person is simply up. That's it. That's the end of the contract. All right. If you guys are here on YouTube at Ask Ivy, there's a class I did with our astrologer, Christina Del Rey, and it was called The Reality of Relationships. And that was a phenomenal free mini class, okay, where we talk about how we have contracts with different people. And when the time is up on that contract, it's up. You can love them, you can want to work on it, and it's not going to matter, okay? It's time for you to either be on your own or to move on to somebody else. And we have to let go of the old to make room for the new. The worst case scenario is that you hold on to a lover and you both really did care about each other, but it's starting to sour and deteriorate because the contract is up and you've got another soulmate waiting. You've got somebody else coming in and you're not ready for that person and you miss it, like passing ships. Okay. Actually, the worst case scenario is that somebody cheats. And then the whole thing is ruined, right? And there's like hatred, and that's the worst case scenario. And it happens so commonly because people don't know how to move on. People don't know how to let go. Okay. Every time the bus stops, somebody's got to get off. In order for a new door to open, another door has to close. Be willing to see your relationships as organic and fluid, not till death do us part, okay? Not black and white. Also, here's a good way to look at your relationships. Sometimes they just need a break. And we see this with soulmate contracts. We see this with soul tribe contracts. We see this with karmic contracts. You will come together. You will go further apart. You will come together. You will go further apart. This will go on not only your entire life on earth, but it'll go on in past lives, in future lives. That's okay. That's okay. Okay. Let it be what it is. Eva has a question here. Again, thank you, Eva, for the donation. Hello, Ivy. I just met someone after a year of being alone. I'm so scared because of what I've been through in past relationships. Is this worth pursuing? My fear gives me negative thoughts. I'm still in therapy. I think so. I don't really believe in healing in the linear sense. I don't believe that after a relationship, you need to take like X amount of time and then heal from it before you get into something else. I see very commonly actually that we come out of something that isn't working, it was toxic or abusive, and there's someone lined up that's waiting to come in right there. And it's good and it's positive. And if we're rejecting it, that seems foolish to me. I don't know where I think a lot of therapists have big ideas about personal space and taking time to heal. The bottom line is this: healing is cyclical. So you're going to go around and around and around and around that mountain over and over again and revisit whatever damaging experiences, pain, or trauma occurred in the original toxic relationship for probably years, maybe the rest of your life. And that's okay. That's the healing journey. Okay. So expect to revisit it. But I think that the real shame would be in rejecting people when they're ready to come in and add something of benefit to your life. So the standard here is always that you are trusting your gut instinct. And if you've gone through an abusive relationship, that's really hard to do again. But you have had all the lessons available to you. That relationship showed you red flags the entire time. There was an abundance of proof that this was a bad person or a bad situation. And so you just have to analyze that, treat it like a science project, write down, make lists of all the red flags that were there, all the things that you figured out now that you're stepping back and doing some healing from that relationship, all the ways you were kind of conned, and learn from it and trust your gut. Trust how smart you are. Trust how capable you are of going out into the world and getting involved with other people again and catching it faster next time it happens, because it will happen. Okay. A lot of people out there are hustling. A lot of people are looking to do harm. But you get faster at catching it and you get real cutthroat about cutting it off and detaching. So you have to analyze whether or not this other person you're seeing is triggering your trauma and anxiety because they're up to no good and you're having an emotional reaction, or is this your intuition telling you no. I think that a lot of times they are also not doing anything wrong and it's you. And so that's the thing. You have to just understand that if you're going to be triggered very easily just by getting into a relationship dynamic, you need to go back to the therapist, like you said, and you need to ask for a bunch of new tools on how to deal with that so that you can decipher, when someone is actually up to no good or it's just your emotional reaction. Hopefully that makes some sense, what I'm trying to say. Sometimes it is you. I think that for most of us, and feel free to drop a comment if you're one of these people, if you've gone through horrible relationships, whether that be with your parents, that be with your family, that be out in society, that be with lovers, that be whatever in a marriage, I think that once you go through something like that, you never really feel comfortable again getting involved. If you do, that may take years and years, and be a very, very, very small group of people that you can do that with. And I think that's normal. okay, considering what you've gone through. So just embrace it and try to kind of pick up your load and keep moving forward with it. We have one from Claire. Do you know when someone has a dark energy and do you refuse to read them? Do I know when someone has a dark energy? Yes. So I can tell if someone has an attachment or a possession, and if they are coming from a dark place, like, narcissism or sociopathic or psychopathic. Yes, I could tell all of that. I can tell ahead of time. So let's say, for example, they're trying to book a reading. I will know when they come to book the reading, right? So as soon as I see it, like in the calendar, I'll know that that's going to be a problematic energy. And I do not refuse them. No. So I read everyone. Part of my work is paranormal work. So I've done exorcisms. I do paranormal cleansings. I do house cleansings. I do paranormal consultations on a regular basis. This is just part of what I do. And so that's where it gets more intensive. And no, I don't reject them either, but there are different degrees of protection that you have to use in dealing with these people. And a reading is not necessarily going to put me in harm's way. And I do believe that it's part of my calling. No judgment on those of you who don't work with people with dark energy. But for me, it is a calling to try to get to the root of the issue and to give them some tools and healing. I also know if they're not going to be accepting it. And so I just show up, I do my part, I do the best I can. And I always know in a situation like that, there's some other trick I'm supposed to be learning. There's some other tool for my toolbox. There's something I'm supposed to be observing in the situation to help grow my own self in doing this work. So no, I don't reject it. Eva said, thank you. Thank you, Eva. That was a great question. And Kara said, we have your back. Amen. Let's see. So we've got another one here from a Sam. I do want to invite you guys real quick before I get onto this next one to drop your questions on any topic, giving free advice or opinions tonight. Please do give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already done so, and subscribe. I do have a word here from our sponsor, ExploreCashAuction.com, for amazing deals and unique treasures. From home materials to baby items, discover hidden gems today at CashAuction.com. Thank you, Cash Auction, for being a sponsor. And if you want to become a sponsor here on any of my social media accounts or on my radio show every Tuesday, you can reach out to me on any platform and we'll get you set up for that. So we have a question coming in here from a Sam. I started getting a random numbing feeling or tingling in my face and mouth. Does that mean something? 100% that means something. And I actually spend a fairly decent amount of time talking about that particular thing in the psychic mediumship course, as well as in the empathic awareness training. Even a little bit in Reiki and psychic surgery, this can come up. So when we're getting tingling in the hands, the feet, the face, the mouth, the tongue, like almost like it can get so bad, it's like a swelling. This can mean that you are receiving information from mediumship, like a channeling. This can also mean that your healing ability is activating, especially with the tingling in the face, the mouth, and the hands. Okay, that could be almost like Reiki energy or psychic surgery, like energy trying to come out of you. So you're definitely going to want to train and start allowing that to happen. In Reiki, we call it hot hands. Your hands could be hot. They could also just look red, or people would tell you that when you touch them, they're hot, but you don't feel like they're hot. So, that has some depth to it. But yeah, it's called hot hands. And when it's happening also, with especially in the face, it could be that you're receiving information psychically. So not necessarily from a spirit, not necessarily from mediumship, but more from like your third eye, your higher mind, clairvoyance kicking in, okay? Prophecy kicking in, psychic messaging. I want to say that for the empaths out there, though, this can happen to you when you're in an atmosphere that has a lot of energy, when you're touching an object that you really shouldn't be touching. Those of you who love to go antiquing or yard sailing or Is that a word? It is now. I don't know, whatever. You like to touch old stuff. You're going to get a lot of that. And you could also find that you're near other people who have such a crazy amount of energy, positive or negative, that you start going numb. It could even affect your vision. Okay. The next step, once that starts happening, is translucent lines across your vision. Almost like when you're driving and it's really hot out and you can see on the road, okay, like heat coming off, it'll go this way across your vision. And you do run the risk of blacking out after that or vomiting. Some people get nosebleeds. So it just really depends on your level of intuition and energy absorption. Know that when you have this, it will increase as you get older. There's no putting the genie back in the bottle. Our intuitive intelligence only increases in time. Okay. So you are going to want to learn to manage it. But yes, it happens for psychic, mediumistic, and empathic reasons. Yep. Great question. Really great question. All right. Do we have another one coming in here? Yep. From Creature of Creation on TikTok. Do you know any astrological info on Cancer, suns, or moons? I do. And I will tell you why. Not because I'm an astrologer. I honor the astrologers. They study 25 plus years. I have been, but I'm not that good at it. But I am a Cancer. My birthday is tomorrow, actually. And so I'm a Cancer Gemini cusp. And what I know about Cancer, sun, and moon is that, we tend to be very protective, like self-protective. They say that, we're crazy people when we get activated or someone does us dirty, like we're the most likely to end up in prison for attacking someone. I guess I could see that. It depends on the crime. But we are really known for being one of the two most intuitive signs of the zodiac, super psychic, very mediumistic, extremely powerful healers. Also, we are the parents of the zodiac, so we have a tendency to, I think it's the maternal symbol of the zodiac, right? Ruled by the moon, which is emotions as well. Very emotionally intelligent, as well as intuitive intelligence. A lot of us tend to make careers out of that. And we sort of don't know how to stop healing people. We don't know how to sometimes keep on our path and stay in our lane and stop overreaching or overgiving or holding space or making exceptions for people. We just tend to do that. And I think it really comes from knowing where people are emotionally and knowing where people are mentally, that we give people too many free passes, and it can really come back to bite us. And I think that's a big lesson for us to learn in our lives. As far as Cancer moons are concerned, when you're talking about the moon sign, you're talking about what activates you in love, in dating, in romance, how you give love, how you receive love. And so all the things I just mentioned about Cancer sun personality, that would apply to your love life if it's in a moon placement. And you would really need someone who is going to make you feel safe. When we think of the crab, right, that's always ready to like hide away, doesn't want to risk it, you want to remember that in romance, that makes you, especially, I don't want to say vulnerable, okay, but let's say picky, as you should be. I don't have that placement. Mine's in Gemini, but I'm all over the place in love. But for Cancer moon, it really requires that you be with a partner who makes you feel safe and secure. So stay away from flighty people. Okay. If you didn't learn your lesson straight out of the gate, that's just not going to work for you, because you can't really connect and get intimate with someone if they don't meet that basic foundation of trust and stability. Okay. That was fun. That's a fun question. I love astrology. Absolutely obsessed. Although I don't consider myself an astrologer. I don't think I'll ever get there. My brain can't seem to hold on to all of that information. All right. That is it for questions. You guys, I think this was a ton of fun. If you liked this, I will continue to do a Dear Ivy show in our cycle. We've got Ask Ivy. Most of you probably watch me for that. Then we've got Get a Grip is the new show that we started. on different topics. And I will add in Dear Ivy. Okay, so we'll be probably seeing you guys back here in about a month to do this. That was a ton of fun. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mairead, for producing. We'll see you guys soon.